Killer.
Chill on shit.
UCB music.
Smoke one. Smoke two. Smoke three. Smoke four. Back in a minute. Back in a minute. If I go away now, I'll be back in a minute. Back in a minute. Back in a minute. If I go away now, I'll be back in a minute. Back in a minute. Back in a minute. If I go away now, I'll be back in a minute. Yeah, I said it. Trick out minute. If I go away now, I'll be back in a minute.
I don't wanna talk, just check my rhymes. Running out the mouth like a thief in the night. Swag so sweet, make a bitch wanna buy it, only like the D. Never been a die. Smoke these boys like a cigarette on any beat or acapella. You say you rock out, but I do the better. Put your money on me, boy, we rich forever. S.J, we do's it, boy. Y'all know me, I make the illest noise. C to the illa, I eat your dinner. Whip that shit, didn't need no blender. But all I know is I got a bum. Now who the fuck wanna go against the done? Yeah, I said it. Trick our minute. If I go away now, I'll be back in a minute.
Smoke one. Smoke one. Smoke two. Smoke two. Smoke three. Smoke four. Back in a minute. Back in a minute. If I go away now, I'll be back in a minute. Back in a minute. Back in a minute. If I go away now, I'll be back in a minute. Back in a minute. Back in a minute. If I go away now, I'll be back in a minute. Yeah, I said it. Trick out minute. If I go away now, I'll be back in a minute. Back in a minute. Back in a minute. Can't stop me from these blocks. I'm bidding. Back in a minute. Back in a minute. Squad pull up with the windows all tinted. Back in a minute. Back in a minute. I show look good when the wheels stop spinning. Back in a minute. Back in a minute. Don't mad me, bitch. Just mad your business. Smoke one. Smoke two. Smoke three. Smoke four.
Now I'm back up in it. It's been a little minute. I told motherfuckers it was cracking in a minute. BG speech, know we gon' get it. Lyrically it's fast, it's love we gon' kill it. I ain't gon' know how to act in a minute. Wanna sip lean, wanna pop back for a minute. Ain't had no car, no cash in a minute. Finna rob a whole bitch nigga ass in a minute. Don't wear fake gold, ain't caught in a minute. A bitch nigga about to get slapped in a minute. Keep side ballin', I'ma blast in a minute. Keep playing bitch games, pussy nigga get with it. I be ready to snap, got fight in a minute. I think it's about time to get half for a minute. Thank God I ain't getting no time in a minute. A boss in this bitch, let me shine for a minute. A bitch too tough, ain't cried in a minute. Ain't sucked no dick, ain't lied in a minute. Ain't been on the North Pole grind in a minute. 10 toes down, ski mask in a minute. Giving niggas a hoes with blast in a minute. Stop a bitch asshole out in a minute. BG about to snap at the glow in a minute. Like nigga hold on like go for a minute. Ain't hurry, rap hardcore in a minute. Me and Juice stepped up and scored in a minute. Much blessed from the most high, know we gon' get it. Resume in my blood and you know what shit. Another man on the beat going platinum in a minute. Stay count, get bread, getting head in a minute. Stepping on toes, I'ma act in a minute. Matter of fact, I'll be back in a minute.
Back in a minute. Back in a minute. If I go away now, I'll be back in a minute. Back in a minute. Back in a minute. If I go away now, I'll be back in a minute. Back in a minute. Back in a minute. If I go away now, I'll be back in a minute. Yeah, I said it. Trick out minute. If I go away now, I'll be back in a minute. Back in a minute. Back in a minute. Can't stop me from these blocks. I'm bidding. Back in a minute. Back in a minute. Squad pull up with the windows all tinted. Back in a minute. Back in a minute. I show look good when the wheels stop spinning. Back in a minute. Back in a minute. Don't mad me, bitch. Just mad your business. Smoke one. Smoke one. Smoke two. Smoke two.
We need that, like right now.
Smoke three.
That shit got me sick.
Smoke four.